Hello everyone, today I'm going to be teaching you how to play my arrangements of Joel Nielsen's We've Got Hostiles and Forget About Freeman from the Half-Life 1 remake, Black Mesa. So at the moment, my Black Mesa Guitar Medley is one of the most popular videos on my channel, and I've actually gotten quite a few requests for tabs for it. Now, I'm not going to be going through the entire medley, it is 11 minutes after all, but I am going to be showing you how to play the most popular songs from that medley, which are We've Got Hostiles and Forget About Freeman. But if you are interested in learning the entire medley, you can find Guitar Pro tabs for them on my Patreon. You can get it by pledging at least $5 on my Patreon at the Play Along If You Dare tier. And when you do that, you'll actually get access to all previously made Guitar Pro tabs for my music, as well as many other goodies. So if you're interested, please check out my Patreon. But for now, I'm going to be teaching you how to play We've Got Hostiles and Forget About Freeman. So let's start off with the bass. So as you can see, I'm using a 5-string bass, but it isn't actually necessary to use a 5-string bass to play these songs from the medley. Later songs in the medley, yes, you will need a 5-string bass, but for these two, you don't need them. So if you only have a 4-string bass, then yeah, you can play these songs. But let's get started with the first part of We've Got Hostiles. We're in standard tuning, and yeah, let's give it a shot. So that's the A section of We've Got Hostiles for the bass guitar. Now the most important thing about this part is to play it loud and proud. It's not very often that you as a bass player will get a chance to really rock out. So you don't want to just be going. You really want to be going like that. So to get that loud and proud sound, you really just want to be slapping into those strings. Like that, as opposed to. And the other thing that's kind of difficult about this phrase is there's a lot of string skipping, going from the E string to the D string. And if you're not very good at that, I suggest, doing some string skipping exercises. Just something like. Or maybe something like. It doesn't really matter what this hand is doing, just as long as this hand is sort of getting a workout. You don't even need to do anything with this hand. You can just go. Like that if you really want. But yeah, those are really the most two important things about this part. Play it loud and proud, but beware of the string skipping. Okay, let's do the next part. So that's the B section for We've Got Hostiles on the bass guitar, and as you just saw, there's a lot of pull-offs involved. And I actually try to do them with my ring finger. It may make more sense to do them like this. But I find it's a lot easier to do them with the ring finger, and that's because you're sort of incorporating more muscles down the arm and in the hand. So. You may think it's a bit easy to use your middle finger, but I find it's a lot easier to use the ring finger, even though it does look a little bit weird. Something else to remember about this part is there is a lot of fast alternate picking sections in this song. A lot of stuff where you just, you know, just sort of drilling out those 16th notes. So if you're not really good at playing like that, you want to practice this slowly. So and after a bit of practice, you might be able to work out the speed to be able to play it faster than the original. That's the stuff right there. But yeah, that's really all there is to this part. So I think we'll move on to the first part of Forget About Freeman. So there's more pull-offs in this section, right here and here. The important thing to remember about them is you want to be using your pinky. Because, you know, it's a 3-fret pull-off. And that's quite a distance to do, especially with just your hand. And you might find it a bit easy to use another finger like this. But, you know, you're actually just going to be stretching your entire hand in a very awkward way. So you want to keep your hand comfortable as much as you can. So use your pinky. And the other thing to remember is we've got a little tiny bit of vibrato here. Just a bit of vibrato. Yeah, that just gives this riff just a bit of flavor. Just what it needs. Just like that. Alright. That's pretty much it, so let's move on to the next section. So yeah, that section is pretty similar to the last. The only real difference is it's played down an octave, and there's a couple of extra notes just sort of throughout the thing. So there's a couple extra notes here, and it just sort of gives the part a bit of extra flair as it builds into sort of the climax of this part of the song. You know? Let's play that climax now. So this section is pretty similar to previous sections, but this time we play it a whole lot more openly. So there's sort of a sway, sort of back and forth motion to it now, you know? Like that, you get me? And there's a bit of a danger zone sort of moment in this medley, and it's, if I can find it, it's this bend right here, this part here. This is a bit of a danger zone moment because most people aren't really used to bending on a bass. Like that. The most important thing to remember with bending is it's not so much about the literal bend of the strings. It's about ending up on the right note at the end of your bend. So basically what we're doing in this section is we're doing a very slow bend up to this note here, but we're sort of hitting the string in sort of 8th note increments like this. I hope that's clear enough. Alright, on to the final section of this song, which sounds like this. Kind of hold that note for a while. Yeah, sweet. So this section is like the previous section of the chorus. It's just sort of a bit more intense. So we've got these sort of quick little palm muted sections. And we just have those in there to just sort of build, the tension and the energy of the song. I actually try and downpick as much of this part as possible, just to give it, all that sort of extra energy that it needs. Just like that. Also, you want to look out for this pentatonic sort of bit right at the end, this part here. That's pretty simple once you got it down. Something else you want to keep in mind is at the end, we end on a nice, big, powerful chord. So going from the pentatonic part to this would sound like this. Awesome. Just like that. Okay, that's pretty much everything for the bass part. If you have any other questions about how to play the bass part, leave them in the comments. But for now, I'm going to move on to the rhythm guitars. So the rhythm guitars in this song are pretty straightforward. A lot of what they do in this song just kind of mimics what the bass part does. First thing I should bring up is I've put the tabs together for a 7-string guitar. But you don't actually need a 7-string guitar to play these parts. At least for these songs, later songs in the medley, you do, however, need a 7-string. For these two songs, you just need a 6-string in standard tuning. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. So, let's get straight into the song. So that's the first section of We've Got Hostiles, and it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's very similar to the bass part for this section. However, there is one little road bump for the rhythm guitars for this section. I'm going to just play it slowly. I'll see if you can spot it. Did you spot it? Right here, we've got a couple of natural harmonics. The ones that we're playing are the ones that are up here on the sort of upper part of the 4th fret. So just be aware of those. They're pretty straightforward to hit once you know they're there and you know how to hit them. So yeah, that's that. Let's look at the second part of We've Got Hostiles. It's pretty much the same, just a little tiny bit different. So, that's a little bit crazy if you don't know what's going on. But basically, it's like the first part, but we sort of add a harmony up a third. So instead of doing this, we do that. So the hardest part about playing this part is you've got to be moving really quickly from down here to up here. And really all that being able to do that comes down to is just knowing where you're aiming for. In this case, we're aiming for the 9th fret. Pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. And hey, look at the bright side. We've gotten rid of that pesky natural harmonic. Alright, next part. So the rhythm guitar takes a bit of a break after that, and it comes back sort of in the second half of Forget About Freeman. So let's have a listen to that. So this part is pretty much exactly what the bass part is doing in this part of the song. But to reiterate what I said for the bass, you really want an open feel for this song. So Sort of like that, if that makes sense. Something you can really slow headbang to, you know? And the only other sort of danger zone for this bit is this little bend here. And this bend's a little bit tricky because, one, we're playing it sort of low on the neck, low on the strings, and we're also bending down as opposed to the normal bending up. But yeah, so let's move on. Let's play the next part of this song. There you go. You just want to let that note ring out. Sweet. Alright, so what can be said about this bit? Well, it's pretty much the exact same as the first half of the chorus, but the energy and intensity of the playing has sort of risen. Most notably because we're doing all these sort of quick little palm muted sections and sort of adding notes as well here. So just keep in mind that those are there, but you still want a really open feeling, something you can really headbang to. Just like that. Something else to keep in mind is we've got this little guy here. We've got this little pentatonic run, but it's pretty straightforward. And after that, you want to end on a nice big open power chord. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the rhythm guitars. They're not super difficult, at least in this part of the medley. They're just a lot of fun, really. So let's move on to the lead guitars. Right, so let's go over the lead parts. So there's not a whole lot of lead stuff going on in We've Got Hostiles. There's some background stuff, but if you really want to learn those, then you can download the tabs and learn them in that. So we're actually just going to skip straight to Forget About Freeman, where there's a really nice sort of melodic line going through the whole thing. And it's built on 4 repeats, each sort of building off of each other. But let's just go over this first repeat. So for this first repeat, the thing you want to keep in mind is you want to have a lot of sustain in your notes. So yeah, the best way to sort of keep the sustain is 1, have a hefty amount of gain in your amp, but 2, I like to sort of mute the strings that are around the string that I'm actually playing. So let's say I'm playing on the B string here. I will mute the strings around it with my fingers so I can go nuts and vibrato and stuff, and the note will keep singing out without, you know, disrupting the strings around it. And another good way to get sustain is if you're playing through an amp. Unlike me, I'm using an amp simulator, but if you're playing through an amp, you can get sort of just catch that feedback. You don't want to get too much feedback. You don't want to change the note that you're playing, but you just sort of catch the feedback, and you can just kind of keep that string going forever if you get it right, if you get it the right angle. But yeah, most important part about this first repeat is you want a lot of sustain in those notes. Alright, let's move on to the next section. Yeah, so it sounds pretty similar to the last section, but just with a couple of changes here and there. 1, we start on a bend, rather than just playing the note outright. And there's a couple of sort of quick little phrases, sort of here and there, just sort of sprinkled around. But there's one right here, and there's this little weird thing here. And what else is there? There's da 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 da. that bit there, that's a lot of fun. And that's just in there to just sort of build up the tension and sort of build up the energy as we come to the chorus. So sweet. Let's move on to the chorus part. Just before we get into the chorus part, what you want to do when you're playing that last note is you want to switch to your bridge pickup, and if you have delay, you want to turn that on. You don't want too much feedback. You want that shit to be tasteful. That's pretty good. We'll use that. Alright. So let's play the chorus. So I would actually say that the chorus lead for this part is a lot easier than the previous repeat. But it sounds a whole lot more triumphant, and part of that is the delay that we added. But the other part is that we're really sort of feeling out those notes, and we're really making those notes sing. Like that. Alright, let's play the next and final part of this song. Sweet. Alright, so this section's almost identical as the last repeat, but there's one big difference, which is this part right here. So what's going on? So what we're doing is we're bending up to the 16th fret from the 14th, and we're playing the 4 on the next string down. So what we get, we sort of alternate between the two, so we go like this. And this is a very sort of rock and roll kind of bluesy kind of sound. So with this section, you know, you want to keep on sort of playing out those notes, really making them sing. It's your last chance, it's the last repeat. Yeah, sweet. Alright, that's pretty much it for the song. That's it for the leads in this song. If you are interested in learning the rest of the medley or any other song from the medley, I have made complete tabs for this song, and they're available on my Patreon for the $5 pledge. Play along if you dare. If you have any questions about what I've discussed in this video, about any tips on playing using certain techniques or playing a certain way, leave your questions in the comments below. I look forward to reading them. Yeah, get out there, start playing. Enjoy that Joel Nielsen music. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.